So anyway, I'm Chris Reno, one of the 6 partners, Cullen Danowski. We're right up the road over at Poquott Station. We're hired by the board to audit the financial statements. That's our primary objective, to render opinion that they're relatively free of material misstatements. So we can issue up to 5 reports. We've issued 3 for you. The main one is the financial statements, where we put our opinion. You have an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can have. That means it's relatively free from material misstatements. I'll go into details in a few minutes. There's also the Justice Court report. That's more of like a cash basis type report, where you show the beginning cash, the money that's been collected, and then the money that's been dispersed to either the state or to the village, and then the ending balance. And then we disclose in the footnotes how much went to the village, how much it costs to run the court. And then there's a letter that has a bold print on it. This is a communication to the board as far as our audit, if we ran into any difficulties, which we did not. And we attach our journal entries. Being that you have Natalie on board, there's minimal entries. We have 8 adjustments. Some places could be up to 20 to even 70 entries. So the books are very clean here. And then other reports that could have been issued. I'll just go into one of them. Is the management letter. So we did have a management letter last year. One of the items was corrected. There was a report on the Justice Court as far as monies were deposited here. There really was supposed to be deposited before death. Monies were transferred out like 5 months later. So that was like a one-time incident. So there's nothing to comment about that this year unless we found something else. And the third comment had to do with overspending the budget. We could have put a management letter together, but it's already disclosed in note 2 of the financial statement. So it's kind of be redundant for that being the only comment. So there's no management letter this year. So that's good. It's going to have the one item to discuss. So like I said, that's disclosed in the financials. So anyway, before I get to that, in the back of the financial statements, we have a budget to actual report, and you overspent the budget by about $116,000 altogether, which is stated in here. And it had to do mainly 3 areas: basically the attorney, street maintenance, and community beautification. And primarily that had to do with there was 2 issues going on with the village as far as the attorney goes, where they had to do additional work. Supposedly somebody was renting, and there was another issue. I have the details here. Really, I'll talk about it. And then the whole thing with the dock. We have the engineering costs and startups for that. So that's why we went over the budget. Okay, so hopefully
But we also collected more money than we expected, correct?
Right, yeah, that's true too. There was some state aid and basically, let me just hand this out. Pass that around. So since we've been here 3 years now, this is our 3rd year. So I'm just doing a history of the fund balance. Okay. So this mirrors what's on your balance sheet of the financial statements for your general fund. Okay, so if we go straight down to the bottom, the balance as of the end of the last year, May 31st, 2018, we had $105,000 total fund balance. The $1,400 is just what you have as prepaid expenditures, which means that you've already paid for it in 18, but it really has to do with 19, so we have to pull that out of your unassigned fund balance. Then we have a reserve for snow removal, which is good, because they did have a lot of snow costs this past year.
We went over in snow too, didn't we?
Right. Yes. So it's good to have that reserve there. So it went down a little bit, and then your appropriated fund balance went up from 15,000 to 36. Now, what that is that when you prepare your budget, you have your total budget, roughly $500,000. And then you have revenues to fund this budget. And if the revenues are short, you would use your existing fund balance. Okay. So, in a perfect world, we totally was on target with your budget, your expenditures would be X amount of dollars, your revenues would be X, and then you would be reducing your fund balance by $36,000, basically like operating loss because you're using your fund balance, because you don't have enough revenues to support the expenditures, but, that's common practice. So that's, now, the thing is that when you look at your unassigned fund balance, that's what you have left, okay? So, you started with, way back in 1486, it built up to 102, if you look at that last column, and then it went down a little bit to 72, and then went back up to 96. But this past year, due to all those expenditures that we had, we're down to about 35,000. Now, the thing is that if we overspend the budget this upcoming year, and we're like close on target, we're going to probably eat away at that whole fund balance. So if everything goes according to budget, you're getting close to being with no fund balance and maybe heading into a deficit. So that's got to be monitored between now and the end of this fiscal year, and then going forward. Okay, so as you can see, the trend as far as the fund balance is depleting. So that's the main point that I wanted to point out as far as the meeting tonight. That's one thing we got to keep an eye on as far as we get to the end of this year, as far as not overspending the budget or bringing in more revenues to have an operating surplus to kind of build that number back up and try to bring back the when you're balancing the budget to maybe closer to a break even if possible, because we went from 15 to 36. So anyway, so those are reports that are issued. I dropped them off last month with Cindy, and so that's the completion of the audit. And so I'm just here if there's any questions that you may have. No?
That's it.
Constant communication with Natalie, so anytime something comes up, we're here all year round, so whenever there's something you want to discuss or concerns, feel free to call.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So have a good night.
You too.
Thanks. No problem. There's an extra copy. Anybody wants it.
Look at that too.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye. Good night.
Mr. Smith.
You want to sit down?
This is the best.
It's marvelous.
Is that a
Bite
nice
your
writing surface?
It's a nice spot.
Okay, so item number 1, update on the gas service. So I spoke to Valerie changed jobs, so there's a new person who took over her job. And in order to bring gas to East Chestnut, we need 4 more houses. In order to bring it to East and West Chestnut, we need 7 more houses. So I just found this out this week. And there's a couple of people that were kind of on the fence. I'm going to contact them and see if we can get them to commit.
7 total for East and West?
Yes. And if, once we get that, then it's less numbers for like Birchwood, Adam, Walnut. It's really Washington. It doesn't have to be on Washington, but those numbers support that. I asked for a price just to run gas, and it was like $125,000 if we didn't have the 4 people. It was like crazy. Okay, the pond across the street, we sent another letter. I think Cindy gave all of us copies of it. I don't know what to do after this point. We could either wait to see if we hear from them. This was at the end of December. If we hear from them in February, if we don't, there are some actions that we could take, even the residents could take. I'm surprised it's not frozen, because it's almost to the road at this point. Today, it's almost like the road. So, I guess I'll put this on for February, and then Rich can tell us, we can put a claim in, the residents could put a claim in, and maybe that will make them react to fixing it.
We haven't dealt with anyone else.
No.
Right? Angle Bright,
well, whoever was CC'd on this letter got copies, like Town of Brookhaven, Englebright was on there, George Hopton was on there. And the
But
Toms.
we haven't
Talked to them.
talked to them.
No, the only other person was the Harbor Task Force, and he was working on it too. For Setauket.
I think it's gonna, if we have any leverage, it's gonna be because of those types of people. Because we're not, it's not in the village. And especially Englebright, because it's got the village everything. Newsday, for sure. I mean, you know, there's things we can do if we decide we want to ramp it up. Because what they'll do is they'll just sit on it, and then they don't even have a no to rail against.
Well, they're not even answering the letters.
Yeah.
So. All right, but it was only like a few weeks ago, so we'll wait till February. Stony Brook just charged before Jeff Harbor, so there's been talks about having a round table. I emailed Margot to see what her thoughts were. She's not available until after the 20th of January. So we're just trying to, she only is in the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the afternoon. So once me and her pick a date, you're welcome to join us if you want. And then we'll get the other people involved that want to be part of that.
I mean, you don't be willing to contribute my time or charge, either charge no charge or minimal time?
Okay.
Because it,
We think we have a good solution, but we need to just get all the right people there to fix it, so. And make sure, you know, I want to make sure at the same time, one of the other villages is not getting hurt by what we want to do, so that's really what I want to talk to her first. Okay, and then I don't know if you guys saw on Facebook that Scott Dalton had offered up the playground. So, I'm gonna say no. It was a lot of work to get that other playground here. And, right, don't you think?
Also, the McDonald's playground is very large and out there. And we did take some, I think, unwarranted criticism for the bright colors and how, and I think that would really be too visible. It would be almost an eyesore in our village.
Yeah, I don't think it
Not
fits
to mention
in.
all the work. that
Right.
we've done. I'm glad you said that, because I feel the same way.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, with that assessment from the insurance agencies too, what, with the kind of parks we actually need to have, I wonder if that could be just,
You have enough space.
It's not- it's
Egress.
I looked,
we can do better than that.
yeah,
We're gonna do
I looked at some commercial ones to see, like, there's some that are on sale, but they're still on sale, they're $20,000.
Yeah, I have a guy at Playtime who
Yeah.
puts these together. He swims with me in the mornings, and I mean, if we ever wanted to get it priced out, I could. run
That's
it
what we got
through
the
there.
Setauket ones from.
Yeah,
Setauket school, when I was on the PTA, that's what we got.
That's what did it,
from.
yeah.
Mhm.
But along with that, I don't know if you remember, in the last meeting, you said to review the insurance, which I did, regarding coverage for playgrounds.
Yeah,
And I do think that one of the recommendations is that we have some regulation, that wouldn't be a code, I don't think, maybe, to have regular inspections. Because when we first accepted the other donation, I checked with the state, we're not required to have a commercial grade. But since we don't have it, and we also don't inspect, I think we do have some exposure there. And it just seems to me, I mean, all of our stuff is in good shape. There's nothing that should happen or whatever, but I do think that we should at least have some kind of, not only the regular inspections once a year or whatever, but a log to show that we are maintaining and keeping things in good order. And then it doesn't cost us anything. We don't need to take out additional insurance for playground.
and do we have like data to that, or code, or?
What defines an inspection?
Right.
And can't the insurance carrier just come down and do some of the concerns?
Well,
within
that's the next
code?
step, if we all agree on
I mean,
that.
they would want to do that at no cost, to make sure that there's no liability.
Now, which insurance company are you talking about?
The villages.
Our current.
Yeah, they would absolutely send a representative down to make sure that there's no exposure on for them.
Cool. Well, I would
That's probably
say-
something we could talk to them about, and probably ask them,
Well, they
based
just-
on that report.
They just did that, right? That's how we ended up with that report?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there, you know, maybe ask them, should we be, you know, do they recommend that we And I remember them recommending, commercial grade playground equipment, and that's something we should be looking forward towards. But did they say inspections yearly? Was that something they stated in there? Is that
They just
something
said that we should
Yeah.
inspect it.
Mhm.
we should
They didn't
inspect?
say
We should
yearly.
expect
So we
They-
But
can
the main
walk up
thing
there and
is-
make sure everything's tight.
Hit it with a mallet?
Yeah.
Remember, this is an insurance company.
Hang on it, make sure it's working.
They're not interested
Yeah.
in safety, they're
Yeah.
interested in not paying for you getting sued.
Yeah,
That's
so
all.
exposure.
So we would, what they're more interested in is us having a log that shows that we inspected it. So, and they said that, at some point in the future, if we replaced our equipment, we really should go with commercial grade. But we're really not required to, and the state doesn't say you have to. And the stuff, is all pretty good stuff.
Right, but I mean, if they're not gonna insure us because we don't have commercial grade
No,
stuff
my
someday down the
understanding,
road,
Dee, correct me if
then
I'm
that would be a
wrong.
problem.
It wasn't that they weren't gonna insure us, they were looking
No.
for us to have an additional rider.
Right, they want us to
Yeah.
have additional.
That was,
It's more money.
yeah.
So I think that definitely at the beginning of the season, it should be inspected.
Okay.
And also there should be some kind of log maintained in the clerk's office, which is a recommendation. And then,
Who do you recommend inspects it?
I think well,
Careful.
yeah, I would call the insurance company and ask them if they'd be willing to do it.
Okay.
Not that they do.
So, I mean, usually, commercial grade policies, they usually have people, inspectors that go around. I'm sure they go by here several times a day.
Mhm. Okay.
The insurance, there's one, that used to live on Mud Road, I know one. So,
Okay.
So how do we document this? Do we make a resolution tonight to say that we're gonna do this, or is it appear in any?
I think we should.
I would
just
just,
a resolution would be
Needs to be
enough, right?
done before we start making a resolution.
Yeah.
Right, I can add it to February for that, and then we could, but by then, we could call the insurance company and get
Find
right.
out.
and I would just buy a spiral binder, with a nice red cover and keep it in the clerk's office. And
Color
I
coded.
like the marble ones.
Yeah.
the playground and maintenance, and 50 years from now, people will do it.
And that metal print, the metal one will still be there 50 years from now.
Hey, I use those monkey bars, they're fine. They can hold
Can you
things.
do
Well, I remind you of something else at the end.
Okay. Okay, local law 183, that's gonna be tabled for February, right?
Right, so we're still
Okay.
working on we have all the language, and we're still working on the pagination and font, because it was pieced together.
Do you remember by any chance, did I give you the rewrite of 35, which was advertising and signs?
There was one thing there was like a final email that you gave me, so whatever was in that final email, and you said like final all over it, so, I can send it back to you.
Okay, well, because one of the things,
I mean, advertising was in there, yes.
okay.
But
Because we also have to.
I mean, you'll look it over when it's done, so.
It was just 2 pages or something, right? Big thing. But there were some things in 183 that had to do with signs. And it really belonged with the advertising because they talk about signs.
Mhm.
So I think my recommendation was, and I wrote, we would keep 35, but change the name to signs and advertising. And then I basically put the two together. But I added a little bit on political signs, which I took straight from the town book.
Okay.
So, we could quarrel about how many days you're allowed and this and that.
So 183 is gonna be the zoning code, right? What was the title of it, 183?
Building and zoning, yeah.
It was zoning, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, the new title or the old title?
The new title.
Oh.
It's not building and zoning now, it's just zoning and building is a different.
I think it's just on.
So it really shouldn't be advertising. Advertising should.
No, I'm saying, I took
Advertising
out
will be
that,
35, right?
I took the stuff that was in 183, and I have to reread it, because I
Yeah.
don't remember whether I took it out altogether, or it appears in both.
It did appear on both, but
I
I
think
think
it
that you
appeared in
moved
both.
you moved everything to 35.
Okay, so the proposal is to take it out of 183 and then put in 35, so,
Yeah.
okay, we'll do that.
But the other local laws that we did, you sent them over to the village, they're ready to go, they just have to be sent in, correct?
They were all sent in,
Oh, they were.
and they, as far as I know, they were accepted, so, they were sent in 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Those are the 4 that we were going back and forth with? Okay,
The
good.
They were
village,
kept-
did you say the village? Do you mean Suffolk County Planning?
No, it's in New York State.
The New York State.
So that still has to go to them.
No, the one that has to go to them is the peddling and soliciting, right?
No, peddling and soliciting was sent to New York, we adopted a local law for peddling and soliciting, and that did away with our local law. So
We
right now, we
rescinded.
have no chapter on peddling and soliciting. That was filed with the state.
Okay,
So we are working on, not, very slowly, we're working on a new peddling and soliciting, because the litigation is still pending. I will have it, I was thinking before, we should probably put it on the March agenda for the February for the new local law, and then the March for a public hearing.
okay.
But Joe, 183 does need to go to sub-county planning. That's
Yes.
how it got started.
When we agree on what the language is, yes, it goes to.
Oh, it does, okay.
You're right. It can't be changed after it goes to Suffolk County Planning, so we have to make sure that the language is. I can tell somebody to do it tomorrow and Monday. Get it ripped up.
And then the next step for those 4 would be to send it to ECO, or?
The state doesn't,
Oh.
excuse me, no, don't they track the state? We don't send it to ECO, don't they track the state? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have copies of it, I can PDF, I think I PDF you or gave you copies, right?
Okay.
If I didn't, I will, I have PDF copies I can send you.
Or just call E-code and ask them, does it come from the state? Or do I get a copy?
Yeah, I think somehow they monitor it, but we can find it.
Okay, trees to be removed in the village. I gave the job to Harry, because I haven't heard from John, so I'm not really sure what's happening. But did you, you got me the list? I know it's the holidays.
I sat down here and made a list of all the trees that are really bad.
Mhm.
It's an extensive list. There are still others that were marginal that I didn't even put on this list because the amount of money that this will cost is gonna be substantial. I think we just need to sit down and decide how much we have to spend and do it. Start just whittling off the bad ones, the worst first.
Do you want to get prices and give them to me and I can sell them to everybody?
I've actually sat down there, I talked to several of the guys and they wanted to wait until after the holidays.
Okay.
And then this past weekend was rain all day on Saturday. And this weekend I'm actually out of the state on Saturday. And Sunday it's supposed to snow, so I think this weekend is out also.
That's fine.
But I will get in contact with them and actually what I thought we would do is take the worst of the trees and get a price on each tree as it goes down the list, so we, there's no way we're gonna be able to do all of them.
All right.
David can cut some of them, and if you want him to do that, we're gonna, I guess, need a roll-off down here to put all the, material that he cuts down there. A lot of these trees are in bad shape because the people that have the properties are not taking care of them at all. And they're letting the ivy just grow up and choke the trees till they die.
Now, the tree that came down on Van Brunt Manor Road, they cut it, but they left all the debris to the side. Can David get rid of that over the weekend?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, not, he's out of the state with me.
Okay, so next
Tomorrow.
weekend is fine.
So if you want it done, figure on next weekend,
Yeah.
maybe we want to put the dumpster, because it's a pretty big tree.
Mm.
Do you want him to cut all of it down to the, to the roots or what?
No, I think they cut it and then they just put the debris to the side. I didn't look at it, but I can look at it in texture.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, last meeting we talked about, anything else on the trees? Anyone have anything? Okay. Last meeting we talked about the project on Maple and New Street. So we got that close to $15,000 thing from Nelson and Pope. They did do it in the past. They didn't think it was at the right scale. And we feel we can deal with the scale that it's at, okay? So they sent that over, but what we found is that there's a pond underneath those roads. So, Rich is working with Chris Boyes to see if there's some way we can go around that, in which I think Joe already had told us that they had a solution, it was a lot of money going through people's yards, but it's a work in progress. We have a couple of people looking at it, so stay tuned, we'll see what happens.
Does that mean that there are drains,
There are drains there.
are they always full?
No, they're never, they are only full when it rains, but because the ground is so on top of the water, it rises up quickly, and there's nowhere for it to go when it starts raining, and even not just the big rainfalls, little rainfalls. That's why the 3 properties that are going towards, like coming out of New Street and going towards Mike's house, those 3 properties are always getting flooded, their yards and stuff, and their garages, and so they can't hold it. And they put dry wells in themselves, they've tried to build up the retaining walls, it's a mess, so.
I never knew that.
Okay, and then, the ethics policy, we said we'll table that until February. Do you wanna give us an update on the lawsuit? I thought the one that you sent me sounded pretty good. That was the peddling one.
Right, so the lawsuit about peddling, we made a motion to dismiss, or the attorneys that are working on it for the insurance company made a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. The basic ground of the motion to dismiss is that in order for the peddling, the solicitation to be free speech, which is protected under the First Amendment, it has to be, have it has to be speech regarding a legal activity. So when this whole thing first came up, the first thing that we did was I had somebody in my office check whether or not the people were registered. This particular company was registered in Suffolk County to do business, and found out that they were not. So they were not registered to do business in Suffolk County, which under Suffolk County law also means that they're not able to advertise in Suffolk County. So they were two ways they were not allowed, in addition to our law, for 2 different reasons, they were not allowed to be soliciting in the first place. So their speech was not protected and not legal. Not legal and not protected. It was their speech was advertising an activity that was not legal because they didn't have the Suffolk County license to do exterminating. So we brought all that to the attorneys to the attorney, and he made a motion to dismiss the case, and we're waiting for that.
So is it one attorney that's doing it for everybody in Suffolk County, or is that our insurance attorney?
It's
or
our
is-
insurance attorney,
Okay.
and he right now is doing it for us.
Okay,
That's good.
yeah.
So we're waiting to see. He said he feels confident, but I'm not gonna say, because it's his motion, but it looked pretty good.
Yeah, he sounded pretty confident in the letter that he sent, so.
The other lawsuit that we have that's still pending is the one, Ashley Holmes versus the Village of Poquott and the ZBA, and the other attorney just won't give up. We're in the process of buying the property. He's aware of that. His client doesn't own it anymore. He's aware of that. The judge is aware of it, and she doesn't understand why the lawsuit's still going, but he's insisting on, I made a motion to dismiss for the village, and he's insisting on keeping the case going. So, we'll see. Right now, we don't own the property yet. When we do, if the lawsuit's still going, we'll give him and the court instructions that we want it to be stopped.
Okay. Any other lawsuits?
Just the only update with anything else is the code enforcement cases that we have. So the one that I was working on with Stevens, there was a finding of guilt, and an assessment of fines, and there was an appeal filed of the fines. And so we're waiting for the determination of that. That would be money, significant amount of money coming into the village, as would at least one other case that's pending, when that's resolved. That's it.
Okay, and then where are we at with the purchase of the,
Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I spoke to the county, and I said we're ready to move ahead with the purchase of the property. And they have to get the exact number that we owe them. I think it was $5,301, and I told them that they sent me an email saying it's $5,301. They said they have to confirm it.
okay,
And they said that they got an email, they said the resolution is for $6,000, And so how about 6,000? And I said, well, the resolution is because it's 5,301 plus our, title costs and filing fees and, so we gave ourselves a little leeway. It wasn't to give the county extra money, $700. So they're confirming the exact amount, probably this Thursday.
Okay,
Coming up, I'll need Natalie to write the check. They want the check in advance of the closing,
okay,
is the news. So they're gonna confirm the amount and then we need to give them the check. And they'll hold it, they'll hold it in escrow pending the transference of title. I'm going to order a minimal title insurance policy, so a title insurance policy for like $25,000 or something, or maybe, whatever the minimum amount is, it might be $10,000. That'll cost a few $100s, I think, just so we have some kind of title insurance on this.
Ron, where's all this gonna be coming out of, the line item? Is it-
We might,
Never had to.
we might be able to.
handyman wages.
Don't say that.
Take it as one. You could, you might be able to get an open space grant for this, because our intention is, I believe, to keep this as open space. So I think when this came up, we discussed, it was at least mentioned that we might try to seek open space funding, clean water funding or something. The
Yeah, that'd be cool.
2% money, whatever it's called.
So as soon as we take title, that's,
We could do it now. I mean, we could make a call and try to get
right,
the grant. Probably Mr. Engelbright could help us with that.
Okay,
See, he has a very significant position
okay, you have anything else?
there. No, thank you.
Jeff, you had something else you said?
yeah, now what triggered that?
Local laws?
The resolution, we're talking about how we just track this, these inspections. Remember I mentioned to you, I'll throw it out there, everybody else. When I was away and I saw the minutes, and we had a couple of nay votes without any explanation. And I just thought that since the minutes are public and people get the minutes, that I just thought in the interest of openness, I would like to see a resolution amongst ourselves that if somebody votes nay or maybe even recuses themselves, that there should be an explanation. They should state an explanation about why they're voting against it, and it should be in the minutes so that people know what's going on. And I don't know whether or not it would just be procedural, that we would just all agree with some kind of a resolution here as a board, if everybody thinks